a little after 5. We'll go ahead and call the Monday, June 3rd Logansport Common Council meeting to order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please. Carol Sue.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Here.
Bob Bishop.
Here.
Joe Buck.
Here.
Gary Fox.
Present.
Charlie Hastings.
Here.
Chuck Liddell.
Here.
Teresa Popejoy.
Present.
Approval of the minutes, the May 6, 2013 meeting.
Your Honor, I make a motion for the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for the vote on the minutes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Minutes are approved on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. There will be no comments of the mayor tonight. Is there any petitions or comments of citizens? Okay, hearing none. Are there reports from committees, boards, or commissions? Council, commissions, or boards first? Committees.
Yes. Public Works met twice last month. We met once for ordinances for weed removal, abandoned vehicles, lawn and green space, and garbage trash. And we also met for vacation of an alley.
Okay. Are there any more reports from committees, boards, or commissions? Councilman Buck?
Public safety met in reference to an ordinance for abandoned and vacant housing.
All right. Councilperson Popejoy.
Finance Committee met in regard to a couple of ordinances for some adjustments in funds.
Okay. Any more reports from committees, boards, or commissions? Council. Mr. Ashcraft.
Development met in regards to the renewal of multiple tax abatements for various local companies.
Okay. All right, we have Connie Neininger, President of Cass Logan Economic Development Organization.
I sure will.
Evening.
And I was not able to attend the May council meeting. In front of you, you have the activity report for the month of April for the Economic Development Organization, which shows the business visits, the companies I am working with on potential expansions, and also attraction projects, community meetings, council meetings, and committee meetings, regional and state. Couple things to note. We did hold a quarterly breakfast meeting for our manufacturers at the end of April that was attended by 6 different manufacturers. Most of them had at least 2 representatives in attendance to discuss advancing manufacturing, which is an initiative working with Ivy Tech and the Department of Workforce Development, Work One, on a workforce training program to pre-train individuals with certified production technician training and some management supervisory skills, so the individuals are then ready to go to work once they walk into a manufacturing facility. It's a joint partnership where we're asking some commitments from the companies also, that if they hire one of these individuals who has gone through the training, then they will help by providing some additional funds back into the pot so we can continue to train individuals. Right now we have state and federal grants available. It costs $2,600 to put one individual through the program through Ivy Tech, but we have quite a few funds available to put several individuals through this training, and it's to be offered here at the Logansport Ivy Tech facility. And then the Economic Development Organization has funds in their budget to also help support additional individuals going through this program, but more specifically to help support our existing companies if they want to participate in this program, that we can help by paying some of those fees for them up front. And so that was a very well-attended breakfast, and we're anxious to see how that moves forward. The other thing is we do have our group, what we are calling our Building Prosperity for Cass County group, which is a core team of individuals that went up to the Low Foundation to learn how to do strategic doing. This was sort of a train-the-trainer session, and those individuals are going to be coming back working with people in the community to develop a unified vision for the county. This isn't a process that's going to be done in 3 months, 6 months. I mean, this is an ongoing process, and they're going to work to build momentum as they go, starting with the core group to really try to define what needs to happen here within the county to build consensus and to build community and civic pride. And so those are a couple of things that will continue on because, again, that program, the Building Prosperity Program, is not run by the Economic Development Organization. We were fortunate to be able to bring them to the table, so to speak. Purdue Center for Regional Development is providing all of this to us at no cost. And also these individuals that went up to the Low Foundation went up there for 2.5 days at no cost to us. Purdue Center for Regional Development has provided that, and they have put Cass County on their agenda to be a program, an initiative that they work with for the next year. And so it's not something that's going to go away just because somebody's leaving. It is a program that's here to stay, and the group is committed to seeing it through. And those are the basic things that I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Connie, on the attraction projects here, I see one at the bottom there, Kermit, is a city project. Are any of the rest of these city projects?
These are all projects that came direct to the Economic Development Organization.
Are they within the city or are they county?
They are within Cass County, which means they could be within the boundaries of Logansport, but they are within Cass County that came direct to the Economic Development Organization.
So we don't know which ones are actually in the city?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us that?
Well, at this point in time, I don't feel that those are things that should be discussed here in a public meeting.
Okay. Well, I can say, I am on the board of Clito, and the reason I asked because I don't know, and so I was just curious which ones would be city projects. I think we should know that.
Well, I think there's a difference here between what city, first of all, Logansport is in Cass County, right, and the Economic Development Organization is here to serve the whole county. And if a project comes to us, it doesn't matter where it wants to be located. We are here to serve the client as best as we can, and with a goal of bringing them into the community. And that's our top
Would it
priority.
be your opinion that the city should be aware of projects you're working on for the city?
If you had been attending the meetings, we do discuss those in our board meetings.
I have attended all the meetings, Connie.
Well, I mean, they are discussed.
And they're used by code names.
Correct.
So I don't know what they are then.
So then why are we not having this conversation in our board meeting?
Well, I don't know. I don't run that meeting.
But if you're there, you can ask those questions,
Okay,
and
well,
we'd be happy to discuss it in a
I have
board
asked
meetings.
those questions before. So, okay, so we don't know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Connie.
Connie, good luck in your new position.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I have a letter still under reports from committees, boards, and commissions. A letter from Jan Foley. It's included in your packet, but I was asked to read it. Ladies and gentlemen, please accept our gratitude for your generosity in providing the funds for the bleacher project at Fairview Steinman Field. The old bleachers that had been there were over 50 years old and were very unsafe. We're very pleased with the end result, new concrete pads with a stone base and 2 brand new aluminum bleachers that will seat 170 people each, including those that are physically disabled. It was an important accomplishment for Steinman Field. One is used a great deal by many members of the community. Thank you so much for helping us out. Sincerely, Jan Foley.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I don't think Jan's here tonight, is she?
No.
No rep. I would like to ask for you to get for us the end of this bleacher project according to our ordinance 2013-1. When the project's complete, any remaining money should be returned to the rainy day fund. I've asked for that report, and I've not received it. I think it's been plenty of time now. I would ask for you to get that so we can make a report to the council on the money, on where all the money went.
You say that's ordinance 2013-1?
Yes, that's what I have here. Resolution, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So that we can, because whatever's left over needs to go back to the rainy day fund, and I checked today and nothing has been returned yet, so we need to find that out.
Okay, Councilman Bishop, I will make that request tomorrow and follow up on it and make sure that we have it hopefully by the end of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more reports from committees, boards, or commissions? All right, there is no old business. Under new business, Resolution 2013-14. Councilman Bishop, please.
Yes, sir. A little out of order here. There we go. Resolution? Yeah.
Resolution 2013-14.
Okay, Resolution 2013-14, a Logansport Common Council amendment to the future land use of map of the Logansport Comprehensive Plan for the Andersons property east of 2344 South, 400 East. Your Honor, I ask for a vote on Resolution 2013-14.
Second. Resolution 2013-14 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call for the vote on Resolution 2013-14.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Gary Potts,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Topjoy,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-14 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 2013-15. Councilman Hastings, please.
Resolution 2013-15, a resolution approving the City of Logansport Capital Improvement Program 2014 through 2017. Your Honor, call for a vote on Resolution 2013-15.
Second.
The Capital Improvement Plan, Resolution 2013-15, has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Councilman Bishop.
Your Honor, I just want to make clear here that we're not voting on approving these expenses. We're just approving on the desires of the capital or the department heads for these expenses in the future.
It is only a plan. It is not. It does not require an expenditure, and is no money out of the city's pocket. It's actually a requirement that makes us eligible for other programs. So it's something that we do every year, but it does not burden the city financially at this point in
I
time.
just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Councilperson Popejoy?
I would like to make a request that all future capital improvement plans that are presented to the council come with realistic requests. It seems to me that, well, first of all, many of the department heads have contacted me and indicate that the capital improvement plan is just a wish list, and that they just put everything in here. As I look at the expenditures projected, or the wishes projected for 2014, it's very heavy in 2014, and there's hardly anything in 15 and 16. I would like to see a capital improvement plan that is a working document that we can really use to budget for and work with so that we can meet the needs of this community. I think it's unrealistic that we can't budget for some of the expenses that we need to do and some of the improvements and equipment that needs to be replaced. And then, just as the 50-year-old bleachers come to us, we have to find a pot of money someplace in order to do that. Where if we had a realistic plan that we could work with an idea of what we needed to do and what needed to be addressed before we got into that situation, oftentimes maintaining your equipment is less expensive than just waiting until it falls apart and then having to replace it completely. So I would ask in the future if we could please have a capital improvement plan presented to us that is realistic and actually spells out the needs that are required. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa, and I certainly share your thoughts on that. Been a part of these capital improvement plans going back to 1995, and you're exactly right. It's always a wish list. It's never realistic, and it's very hard to overcome. Okay, Resolution 2013-15 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote on Resolution 2013-15.
Charlie Hastings,
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-15 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 2013-16, Councilperson Popejoy, please.
Resolution 2013-16, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, granting personal property tax abatement to Myers Spring Company Incorporated for certain equipment located within the City of Logansport. Mayor Franklin, I call for a vote on Resolution 2013-16.
Second.
Resolution 2013-16 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilperson Popejoy.
Mayor Franklin, the resolutions that are presented on the abatement appear to read as if they're for an original abatement request. And as I have been in discussion, I believe Randy Head can maybe provide a little more information on this. I've been told that it's not necessary once the abatement is approved that there be a resolution each year to continue that abatement. And so I would propose, if that is in fact the case, that we not do the resolution on these abatements and that we not do those in the future for abatements, because after we meet in committee meeting, after they've met all the requirements for the abatement and everything and it's signed off, that does fulfill the obligations under Indiana code.
Connie Neininger called me this morning to broach this issue, and I appreciate that because that gave me time to research it, and I thank you for the advance notice. I'm looking here at the statute. It's Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1-5.9. And it says that the only time resolutions are required is when the person getting the abatement hasn't met their end of the bargain. So the law says we're not required to do a resolution for these, but it doesn't prohibit us from doing them either. My understanding is they've been done in the past as a way to keep records so we have something to look at. So really it's up to the council's discretion whether you want to go ahead with resolutions or not. Either way, if you don't want to do a resolution, you could simply approve the fact that the businesses that come before us today are in compliance without passing a resolution, or you can choose to go ahead and do that. It's entirely up to you.
I would agree to, as long as they're in compliance, that we wouldn't have to address it until they're out of compliance, and then we should have to address it.
Council, I think that's just council's preference. I know previous councils that I've sat on has, there were 3 standards, compliant, non-compliant, and mostly compliant. And council at that time wanted to know. There were several instances where this simply got away from council, nobody tracked it, and several businesses had fallen out of compliance, but there was nobody that was going back and doing the review. So this was just a mechanism to basically gauge the success of the abatement and to determine whether or not they actually still qualified. Again, it was just a safety measure that allowed somebody to guarantee that somebody was reviewing it. And again, it's council's choice. Certainly, if you feel comfortable in that the review process is being met, we'll do whatever it is that you request. But at least for tonight, these resolutions are on the agenda, and you have those committee meetings so that you can review and make sure that they're compliant. And if you feel comfortable, then I would suggest we go ahead and adopt these resolutions as they're presented and give me guidance in the future. If that is what you truly want done, then we can do, again, whatever it is that you request.
Your Honor, go ahead, Connie.
And I think the resolution is one thing, and the review on the compliance is a whole nother story. And I'm not suggesting that you do not do the review and follow the proper procedures whatsoever, because the actual back page of the compliance form requires the council, the designating body, to sign off that they are in compliance. So there still is a documentation and a process that goes through. It's just not the resolution form that's confirming, because the original resolution at the time the abatement was approved has a term on there. And that resolution stands until the council rescinds that resolution. And so, again, there is still the review process, the review committee, the compliance form is still required, and then the council still needs to sign off on that compliance form.
I believe it was compliance, substantial compliance, and non-compliance was the three options that you had.
Actually, it's the property owner is in substantial compliance. The property owner is not in substantial compliance. The new forms only have those two options, and then there's an other.
Yeah.
And if they're not in compliance, that's when they need a resolution to state that the abatement schedule is rescinded until further notice.
Right. So again, council, that may be something you want to discuss in committee and decide how you want to proceed with that. But for tonight, I'd certainly hope that you would go ahead and consider the resolutions in the form that they're presented tonight.
Your Honor, we also have, more recently, I think, that on some of these tax abatements, the businesses also fill out the voluntary compliance, that if they are not in compliance, they voluntarily suspend it for that year. And so how should we work that into this?
Again, that voluntary compliance does not have any effect on the resolution whatsoever. A resolution then to rescind is still required.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you, Connie.
Okay.
Your suggestion is duly noted, Councilperson Popejoy.
I do question if the resolution is appropriate for what we're doing, because it doesn't say that they've met the tax abatement. It sounds as if it's the initial
Brand new.
request.
Yeah.
So I question whether this resolution is really appropriate for what we're doing.
Are you saying it's council's option? The legal counsel states that it's council's option if they want to adopt this resolution or not. It's entirely up to you as a body. I don't think it has any effect on the outcome whatsoever.
No.
We certainly know that it's not a new resolution. I mean, it's not a new abatement. It's only to reinforce the current abatement that already exists.
Call for question. Let's do it.
Okay, call for the question on Resolution 2013-16.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-16 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 2013-17. Councilman Joe Buck, please.
Resolution 2013-17, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport granting personal property tax abatement to A. Raymond Tinnerman Manufacturing Incorporated for certain equipment located within the City of Logansport.
Second.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
Councilman Buck made the motion?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
Council. It's been moved and properly seconded. Resolution 2013-17 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote on Resolution 2013-17.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-17 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 2013-18. Councilman Ashcraft, please.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, granting personal property tax abatement to Community Holdings of Indiana, Inc., and/or related entities doing business as the Parish Tribune for certain equipment located within the City of Logansport. Your Honor, I call for a vote on Resolution 2013-18.
Second.
Resolution 2013-18 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hayes.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-18 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 2013-19, Councilman Fox, please.
Resolution 2013-19, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, granting personal property tax abatement to Matthew Warren Incorporated for certain equipment located within the City of Logansport. I motion for Resolution 2013-19.
Second.
Resolution 2013-19 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in, wrong meeting. We'll call for the vote on Resolution 2013-19.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings,
I'll abstain due to the fact that I sometimes work there.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-19 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
No.
6-0 and 1
I'm sorry.
abstention.
Six,
6-0.
6 and 1 abstain, and the abstention goes with the majority. 6 to 1 to 0. Okay, Resolution 2013-20. Councilman Liddell, please.
Resolution 2013-20, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, granting personal property tax abatement to Cotronics Incorporated for certain equipment located within the City of Logansport. Your Honor, I call for a vote on Resolution 2013-20.
Second.
Resolution 2013-20 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote on Resolution 2013-20.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-20 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Next, we have Ordinance 2013-12. Councilman Bishop, please.
Okay, Resolution 2013.
Ordinance 2013-12.
Okay, I've got two of them here. Okay, so the one that they sent us today, okay, I'm sorry, I have an old one. Okay, so this is the new one, right? Okay. Ordinance 2013-12, amending the Logansport Fringe Zoning Ordinance, Downtown Overlay District Standards. Your Honor, I call for a vote on Ordinance 2013-12.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-12 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilman Bishop.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer amendment to 2013-12. I passed out to everybody a sheet that for Section C, or
Is that the original that that you
Yes.
guys sent back to Plan Commission? So actually, that's not an amendment, that's what you'd be voting on?
no,
The one that I sent today was just a recommendation after our subcommittee meeting, but really you would have to amend this one.
that's what I'm calling for.
Well, but this is the right one. The one that you just passed out that says the 75% of the first floor for residential units, the
Right.
remaining 25, that would be what you're voting on.
Oh,
To
okay.
be this, you would have to amend this to say this.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Okay.
I know, I'm sorry.
And that's the confusion.
And there's no mention here about Broadway or Market.
Yeah, the 75% first floor for residential units, and the 25 mentions nothing about Market and Broadway. That's the one that you recommended back to Plan Commission, and they sent back to you with an unfavorable recommendation. But my understanding, and I'm sorry I missed the subcommittee meeting, at the subcommittee meeting there was some discussion of what it could be if we just looked at Market and Broadway. So in sending this out was just information on what it could read if you wanted to do Market and Broadway, so you could make an amendment if you wanted to. Does that make sense?
Okay, since, first I should point out that we did just get this final language here this afternoon. So that's part of the confusion that we have here right now.
I apologize for that.
So,
So if this language that was sent this afternoon is something you do not want to consider, then put that to the side. What's really being brought forward is the 25%, 75% ratio.
And I thought after the subcommittee meeting that
It was asked to kind of look and write up something if you wanted to change it.
And to be perfectly honest, and this is my fault, I did not expect this to be on tonight because I have not gotten back to council yet. So I will take fault for that. But this is what we have in the packet is what I expected to vote on tonight.
Yeah,
That's not what was sent
The
to
problem is
plan.
our packet changed today.
So the resolution that you're looking at with the recommendation from Plan Commission is actually the 25%, 75%. But meeting at subcommittee, you wanted some additional language of doing Market or Broadway, and that's why we sent another proposal of this language if you wanted to make that amendment. I'm sorry, Carol Sue probably switched out the 25 for the other, and I
Yeah.
apologize, Carol Sue, I did not explain that to you. It's basically two different languages.
Okay.
Okay,
Councilman Bishop, for the record, can you read,
Yeah.
after talking to legal counsel, the recommendation is that you read the original, which is what you were going to offer as
Right.
the amendment.
Right, and it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, the one I have here is dated June 3rd, which is the original.
They're both dated June 3rd because they're both tonight. The original is the one that says a building that is used for residential for the 75% and 25. That's the original.
Right.
So I was going to read it, but since you asked you. So that would be the original that you'd be voting on if you want to make amendments.
Do you want to just read this plan commission?
I don't think the Plan Commission resolution states the actual language within it.
That's what I have here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you meant the resolution.
And then I have resolution 2013-6 here.
The unfavorable recommendation.
That's their recommendation.
Yeah, unfavorable for the 25% and 75%.
And the only one I have here is 2013-12 ordinance.
This is the one that's the
How about that? Okay. That's what I had here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what I think you adopted in April.
That was your first reading, was for that. Correct.
Yeah, that's what you adopted in April.
Right.
But it's an ordinance that takes two readings, but you can still change it on the second reading, and so after subcommittee, that's why we sent that, but just to make things confusing.
So the language we're in question about is in C.
Yes.
That's the only thing that was changed, correct?
Correct.
And so I will read what we are voting on here. And C says, a building that is used for residential or mixed-use purposes may utilize up to 75% of the first floor for residential units. The remaining 25% of the first floor can be occupied with any permitted use located within the applicable zoning district as long as the use conforms to the parking standards that are applicable to such use. Your Honor, I call for a vote on 2013-12.
On the amendment. No, that's not the
That's
amendment.
not amendment.
That's the actual,
On
right?
the original.
Okay, now you need to amend.
If you wanted to amend it, this was some language that I brought forward to you.
Okay.
So that would be up to you if you wanted to make the amendment.
It's very confusing. And for those of you that are here as observers, there was
It's been back and forth.
there was another proposal that was submitted at 2 o'clock this afternoon that was added into the packet. That's where the confusion comes in. There was an original document that was replaced at 2 o'clock. Councilman Bishop wanted to go back to the original document and replace the document that was provided at 2 o'clock. So there's for the confusion. I hope that explains it. But Councilman Bishop has made a motion. Is there a second?
I would like to offer an amendment.
No, wait. I'm a little confused here.
I'll second it.
Bob read the original, right, and not an amendment. So there's no amendments on the table right now.
No, you're right.
As of yet.
Chuck seconded already.
Okay, did you get that? Chuck? Okay, so We have on ordinance 2013-12, there's been a motion and it's been properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Councilman Ashcraft.
I would like to offer Aaron's submitted language as an amendment for section C.
Would you like to read that? Can you read that?
A building that is used for residential or mixed-use purposes along Broadway or Market or Broadway is actually the way it's written, shall provide first floor frontage along such streets with any permitted use within such district except for residential units with a minimum depth of 50 feet. All uses within such buildings are subject to the parking standards that are applicable to such use.
Second.
Okay, we have an amendment that's been offered and a second by Councilman Liddell. Is there any more discussion on the amendment? Okay, we'll take a vote on the amendment now. The amendment that was just offered by Councilman Ashcraft.
And this is what we agreed to in the committee meeting, correct?
Or at the very least discussed.
You just,
Discussed and asked for language at the subcommittee meeting, yes.
That wasn't exactly this language.
Right, I wasn't there. I was trying to put together as much as what I thought was discussed. I apologize.
okay. Call for the vote on the amendment, please.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes?
Bob Bishop,
No.
Joe Buck,
No.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings,
No.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
The amendment passes on a vote of 4 in favor and 3 opposed. Now, ordinance 2013-12 in its entirety, as amended. It's been moved and properly seconded. It's been amended. Call for the vote.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings,
No.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
No.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-12 passes on a vote of 5 in favor, 2 opposed. Ordinance 2013-16. Councilman Hastings, please.
Senior housing.
16.
2013-16.
Resolution 2013-16.
Ordinance 2013-16. The weed ordinance.
Ordinance 2013-16, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, amending ordinance 2011-09 declaring weeds to be a nuisance and providing for the removal of said weeds and paying costs of such removal. Your Honor, call for vote on ordinance 2013-16.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-16 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Please come forward, state your name.
Michael Berkshire, 528 Bate Street, Logansport, Indiana. Need help. The next 4 ordinances, I read them, all have to do with weed removal, abandoned vehicles, lawn and green space, and garbage and trash. The way I understand these ordinances are going to tighten up ordinances that are already in place. In other words, make them more restrictive. One thing I'd like to ask the council to do before they pass on this ordinance or on the second reading is to consider the people in this community that cannot afford to keep their properties up to the criteria set by this administration. We all know there's a lot of people in this town that don't have money. There's a lot of single family households. Their worry is more with putting food on the table, getting to and from work, or putting clothes on the children's back. the least of their worries is pulling weeds, taking care of that car in the yard, or mowing the yard. The problem I see with a lot of these ordinances is that you're giving them far more restrictions. You're giving far too much authority to the code enforcement department. This is something that you must take into consideration, and I ask you to take it into consideration even more so, since you're anticipating annexing a large section of the south side of Logansport, which is now farmland. These rules, these codes, will apply to them also. Your code enforcement officer will be out there applying these codes to those people. Is that fair? Is that right? Is that just? I see way too many situations around Logansport where what I consider to be proper care is not considered to be proper care by code enforcement. I'll give you an example. If you can slide those on around, slide them around the council microphone. Guys, people don't have money to mow their yards. They don't have money to get the lawnmower fixed. They don't have money to pay somebody to do it. I experience this firsthand every time. I'm a single-family household. This year, I've had to repair garden tractors, 3 weed eaters, and a chainsaw. What I want you to look at on the pictures here is I want you to tell me which one of the pictures is in violation and which one is not in violation of the city codes. And feel free to answer.
I'd like to see, well, I guess George isn't here, is he?
No.
So I think that's a good question for them to answer. I can't, it looks to me like, I don't know, I don't know a weed from a flower.
Okay, let me tell you one. Let me tell you, the one on top is on 2100 Broadway, main drag in Logansport. The one downtown is 528. The one on the bottom is 528 Big Street, my house. I will admit these are older pictures. But
Last year, aren't they?
Last year. But this is particularly how I take care of it, to a certain extent. The weeds along the sidewalk have been cut.
Do you have any photographs of the back of your house?
No, I don't, not at this time. But I have photographed the property line of Pleasant Escape.
Good.
So I'm asking for fairness and honesty when these things are administered. And the way I've seen it administered over the past few years is just unjust.
Are you saying these are both in violation or one of the
I'm
others?
asking which one.
Oh,
The one at the bottom is the one.
No, I was just, I was
the-
just trying to get an understanding of the picture that was provided to us, that's
Yeah.
all.
The
And
one at the bottom gets one of these all the time. The one at the top, to my knowledge, is not. The one that you can drive around Logansport in multiple locations within a block or 2 blocks of the mayor's house. And you'll see places that are in far worse shape than mine. But they're not coded. They're not given little tags.
I think we're up to 600 so far this year.
On me? This is
No,
the first one.
we haven't written you up every time we could have.
Well, in all fairness, I've spent, never mind. But I am working on it when I get a chance. You're all aware of the fact of the weather in the past few days hasn't helped. But my main thing is, heck with that, my main thing is, you're passing these ordinances. You're saying you want to have these houses look like they're in Carmel. And we don't have the income for people who live in Carmel or the north side of Indianapolis. I work in West Lafayette, and I can tell you that I drive around West Lafayette a lot. Drive around Lafayette a lot. They have some of the most strictest codes there is in the state. But I see houses in a lot worse shape than these 2 houses, and nothing's been done to them. So I want to know, why are we trying to put all these ordinances in place? Don't we have enough to do? Why do we have to keep restricting people more and more and more? What you call weeds, I've got a lot of wildflowers planted in there. I spent a lot of money with DNR Fruit Market. But you can't tell it because it's my way of landscaping. It's a natural landscaping. But I'm being prosecuted for it. Behind my house, behind my garage, yes, I have weeds. I talked to the, whatever is
Mike,
back there.
did you bring a picture of what you were written up for?
The bottom one is precise, is pretty much what I was written
That's
up.
what you got wrote up.
Yeah.
But you said that was last year's picture.
It was last year's, yeah. But this year is basically the same. The only thing different is the weeds down along the bottom of the wall are not there now.
Council, if I may add, there was much more than what you're looking at right there. It was poison ivy that was 12, 15 feet tall.
And that's been taken down.
That was last year's picture.
That
That's
was
what you were
last
written up.
year's.
So for you to say this is what you were written up
No,
for
no,
is
no,
just
no.
absolutely not true.
No. Respectfully, Your Honor. This bottom picture does not show the 12-foot tall poison ivy.
Absolutely, it
I'm
does not.
referring to the illustration. The question that was asked by me, by Councilman Fox, could you tell me what I was written up for? What I was written up for here today is out front and behind in the
Which
garage.
date is on there?
6/3/13, 528 Bates Street, tall weeds and grass, weeds behind garage, weeds in yard, and fenced row. You see the fence in the bottom row. Please remove and remedy the marked violation within 10 days or call George at 753
So,
4th.
Mike, I would have actually liked for you to have brought the pictures of
Today.
what that
Yeah.
was for.
Well, if I had time to get them, I would have.
I assure you, Council, if you drive in the back of 528 Bates Street, you will be appalled and understand exactly why we're doing this.
I can assure you, Your Honor, that the back of 528 Bates Street is no worse than a lot of other properties.
And we're working on all of them.
No worse than a lot of, and also, as I pointed out last year, a large section of that is not only my property, but the adjoining garage, including my blueberry bushes, which I have staked up and pulled back. Arrangements are being made to cut down the backside, okay?
Thank you.
Now,
Well, I do see exceptions in here for agricultural plants. So your blueberries, I think, are okay.
Not according to, you know. But I'm just saying, when you pass these ordinances, keep that in mind. You know, there's a lot of little old ladies out here who can't mow their yard. Well, you know, like I said, for a long time, I couldn't afford gas. My neighbor mowed my yard.
I have a lady in my neighborhood that I just found out from another neighbor that she has to decide between, she can't afford to have her heat on all the time. And she's too old to mow her yard, so she has to actually have it mown. So you're talking about a person that just can't go out there and mow it every 3 days.
And you're talking,
And so that is a trouble for somebody like that. And I know I don't want to pick on Grandma, Chuck.
but you run the risk of doing this when you restrict these things more and more.
I understand.
The back of 528 Bates Street is no worse than some of the drives on Frederick Street up on top of College Hill. The back of 528 Bates Street is no worse than 3rd Street right at Pleasant Hill. On the
Well,
west
Mike, I
side.
also have pictures here that I brought and distributed, and a lot of these are actually of our city parks.
Yes.
Actually, they all are. Riverside Park in particular. I drove by there a few days ago, and they were having a ball game, and yeah, this is out of compliance also.
What some people call compliance is a beautifully manicured lawn. But at Purdue University, they can call that compliance, but they also call wild foliage a beautiful manicured lawn.
It's an issue we have to address,
Yeah.
but we have to be fair.
Well, that's what I'm asking, and especially underwritten by the fact that you're anticipating annexing how many hundreds of acres into the city? How many of these little yellow cards are you going to have to print up for that area of town? How many people are you going to have coming up here? It's just, it's It's easy for you guys to sit here and vote yay, nay, pass, no. Sometimes it's easy, okay?
Yeah.
But you have to balance the
It's
ramifications.
not easy to sit here and do that.
You have to balance the ramifications, Mr. Upjoy. You know where I'm coming from, guys?
Thank you.
I know I get up here and I get radical at times, but you're going to have to take this into consideration.
Well, recently, we had a discussion where, Mr. Bishop said, my yard's not in compliance because of the rain. I think he sent a picture of us. And, so it happens to certainly all of us, but I think it's what we're looking at is trying to do what's right and what's best, to be neighborly.
Just to be fair to Mr. Bishop, that was a dated statement, too. I'm sure his yard's in compliance now.
Oh, it is now.
Well, mine would be in compliance now if it weren't for the fact that I spent a whole day at the ER last Wednesday and the last 4 days flat on my back with vertigo,
Yeah, and that's
which is
probably,
why I have trouble walking right now. But that's aside from the point. Take this into consideration, folks.
Council, is there any more discussion? Any councilman have discussion? Anybody?
on the
Please.
weeds.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else? I have one more thing here. I have passed out some pictures that I took a couple days ago at Riverside Park, and I'll use this on some of these other ordinances also. But this shows, and then we've all aware of Spencer Park on the east end of it, supposedly is wild grasses or something. Like I say, I don't know what you call all this, but it looks like tall grass to me, and it looks like that's out of compliance. And that's, so my point here is that before we make this tighter, I want to make sure our own city can comply with this. And I'm not sure that we actually are now. So I'm actually, as we take a vote here, I'm willing to vote yes to move this on so that everybody has another month for people, their constituents, to get a hold of us and let us know how they feel about this. Because, and I hope that they do. I hope the newspaper prints this today and lets them know to get a hold of us. So because this is a tough decision, because I don't want to pick on grandma out there that has a hard time getting out and mowing her yard. But we also have to keep things within reason within the city. So I'm willing to move it on, but I'm for a second vote. But I'm listening.
Please recognize, Mr. Bishop, that area at Spencer Park is wild grasses that were planted last year, and with the drought, they didn't take off the way they were supposed to. I believe with all the rain we've had this year, if we give it a chance, it'll be very beautiful, and also will eliminate mowing in that area.
Yeah, they do it. They do that a lot of places, and so that I'm questioning, that eliminates mowing. So if I put that in my front yard, does that eliminate my mowing? I think it does.
Well, I'd like to...
Would you state your name and address, please?
Mercedes Brew, 1315 East Market Street. I'd like to echo Bob's and Teresa's concerns about tall grasses in the parks. I do know that they have installed tall grasses in at least one place that I know of along Melbourne Avenue in an effort to reduce the mowing time. And we have, at Little Turtle Waterway, we have tall grasses along the trail, and we burn them when it works for us to burn them in cooperation with the fire department. So, our whole strategy on that was to not add to the maintenance time for the Parks Department. So please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Sure. What would you think? What do you think our solution is then for a homeowner that would want to do that for the same purpose?
Well, I wouldn't be burning my front yard next to my house.
I don't think so.
So that's one way that you control those grasses, is you burn them.
So they have to be burnt every year or something?
Well, when you burn the grasses...
I've never seen them burn them at the golf course.
I don't know about the golf course, but at Little Turtle we do burn them. We burn sections of them. And what happens is the grass's roots are so deep that the grasses survive, and then the woody plants are killed. And so that's the way the Indians kept the prairies open for buffalo. And that's what we're doing. So it's a way to manage the.
They use
tall
light,
grasses.
we use
Pardon?
lighter. I said they use lightning, we use a big lighter.
Yeah, land management techniques across the United States often have open burning in the Badlands or in the Black Hills. It's one of the ways that they manage the side of their, some of their forests is they do a burn and let the stuff that's there, so.
I think my own main
science.
point is that whatever ordinance we create, everybody needs to go by it. We can't be singling out certain people or certain entities. If it's good enough for the rest of the residents, it's got to be, the city's going to have to go by it also. So I just don't want to make it so strict that none of us can do it.
Councilman Bishop, for the record, I had, for the second time in 10 days or so, I've had the conversation with the park superintendent about the tall grass at Spencer Park in particular, and also at Riverside Park. And it's my understanding, I'm learning more about this. It's actually a Boy Scout project that was started last year. Because of the drought, they didn't take off as well as they had anticipated. They're going to monitor the situation until July. That's when the last expected blooming of the wild grass before the wildflowers before the native grasses take over. Should be sometime in July. If they don't take this year, I think the intent is to start over with yet another Boy Scout project. So that is, again, it's a Boy Scout project in cooperation with the Parks Department, and I don't think anybody is satisfied with the way it looks right now, but in trying to work with the Boy Scouts and giving it every opportunity to succeed, we're just in a holding pattern until we see if the flowers actually take off. But they were planted. It was planted flowers last year. Just for clarification, and I did ask the superintendent to issue a press release as well as to provide a guest column and possibly even do a talk of the town to talk about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Would you state your name and address, please?
Sure. Lisa Hanson, 2169 East, 350 South. The question I have is, what is going to be the ordinance for the weed removal? Like, how high are we talking grasses before you get a notice, or how high is the weeds? To reiterate what Mr. Brookshire said, you guys are wanting to try to annex in the southern part of the county here. And you have to think about some of those pastures out there. Like mine right now, I have bull thistles. Are you going to come around and say that is out of compliance with weed ordinances? Out in the pastures, you're looking along fence rows right now where there's bull thistles. Side ditches, how deep are you going to let those go when you're looking at these weed ordinances? So how tall is it now before you're out of compliance with just normal grass?
8 inches.
It's 8 inches. And how about other weeds? That's just grasses, right?
8 inches.
Everything's just 8
It
inches?
says here that,
Right now, we're at 10, aren't we? And we're
8.
changing it to 8?
If I may,
we're not changing it at all.
if I may add, at the bottom of page 1, weeds and rank vegetation do not include prairie land or agricultural crops such as hay and pasture.
Okay.
That's in there. We're trying to be proactive. We're certainly not wanting to target you folks that live out in the country and have your,
Well, you're going to have side ditches and stuff that are now going to be in city, and sometimes side ditches only get mowed once or twice in the summertime.
Yeah. And,
So you got to, think about all of this on what you're looking forward
Sure.
towards the future.
and discretion and judgment is going to have to take a role in this. We understand that. And again,
I know.
we understand all those things. I know it's, any reason we could find is as good as any other reason to try to dissuade the annexation. We certainly understand that. We're trying to take all these things into consideration, and we've certainly heard you loud and clear, and we intend to make life as easy as we can on you.
Well, and just like Councilman Bishop just said, if we put these ordinances in, they're good for everybody. Don't make stipulations, so you got to think.
Well, I think we've done that when we include prairie land or agricultural crops as an exemption. It's not included. It's not our
Which would be
target.
your alfalfa and would be your pastures and stuff, but like I'm saying, you have fence rows, and you have people that maybe they only burn those once a year, maybe they only mow twice a year. So that's...
We've had the discussion on the fence rows, and we're certainly trying to take that into consideration in our burn ordinance, and it's been well documented, at least in the Ferris Tribune already, that we're recrafting our burn ordinance to help you folks out so that you would be able to burn your fence rows. Again, we're trying to make it better, not worse.
The other question I have then also is with this ordinance, then it is you guys come and remove the weeds, the city does, and then that is at the landowner's expense. They would get a bill for that. Is that how this ordinance will go, or how is it
The way it works
now?
right now, if the landowner, a lot of times the landowner or the property owner just pays the bill. It's easier for them to come in. They don't have to worry about hiring the contractor. They just come in and pay the bill. If they don't pay the bill, we add the fees we place a lien on the property, and then eventually when the property's sold, the city recovers their fees.
Is it correct? They get a notice after a week. It has to be mowed within a week, isn't that correct, Ken?
Yes, I have Chris.
The landowner has the opportunity to do it themselves during that time period.
During the week after the notice?
Yeah.
According to the ordinance. the proposed ordinance.
And I can say without question that every person that's ever come before the Board of Works, if they've displayed just a little bit of effort, we've given them extended time. We've been more than fair, and I think anybody who's ever attended a Board of Works meeting would say that we've been fair. And I would encourage you to go back into cityoflogansport.org and watch some of the Board of Works meetings to see how lenient we have been with those who are making the effort. It's those who absolutely refuse to even respond, who turn away our requests. Those are the ones that we end up enforcing. But anybody who's making an effort, we work with them.
So this ordinance changed, so with the previous 2011 is, the wording is what? That you guys will be voting on.
Chris, can you come forward, please? Do you have the changes highlighted and underlined?
Yeah.
Several of them on the first page are just things like instead of it saying code enforcement, it says community development department. You don't want me to read all that stuff, do you? You want to know the significant changes? Under notice of violation, it's currently 10 days. We're changing that to 7 days to coincide with the trash ordinance so that he's not having to go 3 days later back to the same areas. He can do it all at once.
Just a point, the height of the grass didn't change.
No.
That
doesn't
is
change
staying
at all.
the same.
Yeah,
Still
it's
8.
currently 8 inches on the first time, and then if we have to go back, it's 6.
Now, Chris, while you're on that, as far as the code enforcement, his route that he makes, because I think that's one of the best arguments that he has, that he makes 2 routes, one for the trash and one for the weeds.
Yeah, because you have to go back and inspect it when the allotted time is up.
Right.
And currently, he's
Apparently-
going back 7 days for trash, 10 days for weeds.
Right, so this is part of this then is just to make it more efficient for his operation.
That's
right?
correct.
So I can tend to agree with that part. Go ahead.
Under emergency action, added into it is, in the event that the community development director determines the weeds and/or rank vegetation are a danger to public health, he/she may order an emergency abatement of the violation. Documentation must be made and photos taken of the public threat and presented to the Board of Works at their next regularly scheduled meeting. Abatement of any additional violations that are not a threat to public health and safety shall be handled as outlined in this ordinance. And then under penalty,
Violation.
it's changing from $50 on the first time to $75, and from $100 to $125. And then on the third and subsequent violations, it's remaining at $250. And those are the only changes.
I'd like to point out to Councilman Liddell, the whole council actually, that on the second page, it actually also states that once they're habitual, it goes down to 6 inches. So
That's what it was.
It's even going lower there. That's right about where I mow my yard at. From 6 to 3.
And honestly, by the time George gets to these, I mean, we have a lot of properties to do. By the time he gets to them, generally, they're much more than 8
You
inches.
know, that actually brings up another point. Thank you for reminding me. Talking to George, something I think we need to consider here, George was just telling me that he's actually behind on the mowing now because of there's a lot of it. And he actually was able to get some help from the cemetery, I believe, to help him catch up some. So with that in mind, if we tighten this up more and we have more violations, how are we going to keep up with it? I mean, we're already behind. Does it seem?
I think once we're caught up, which we should be in the next couple of weeks, I don't think it'll be that hard anymore. And a lot of times after people get their first notices, they're more on task to mow them themselves.
Okay. That's something we need to keep in mind. Thank you.
Any more questions for Chris before she takes a seat? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
State your name and address, please.
Daniel Quaid in Cass County.
Where at in Cass County?
9242, 325 East.
Thank you.
I've seen the papers. I've looked at things. I've dealt with it. Done pretty well dealing with it. I got one question. I see the fees. I see the fines. I hear Mr. Bishop's, how are we going to do this? My question is why? I listened to poor Mr. Berkshire. He sounded obviously upset as a citizen of Logansport. I'm looking at the entire situation. I've kept abreast of the situation. Why are we fining and feeing people for something that they can't afford to do anyway? I look at poor Mr. Berkshire and I feel bad. This is not the same town that I grew up in. I talked to you about this today, Mr. Bishop. Thank you for your call today. To me, it looks like you're just painting over rust. The town is dying, the town is decaying, so hey, you know what, we can't really do anything to fix it, so what are we going to do? We're just going to paint over it, make it look pretty. I mean, it's just painting over rust. Why? Why are we doing this to people? You know, you look at property owners' grass, you look at property owner who's got what car and what driveway, but yet driving down a street, people bust a ball joint because the potholes are so bad, but yet we're going to bust them for not being able to buy gas for the mower because they have to buy gas for the car to go 35, 40 miles to work. Why are we doing this? I mean, you know, please don't take any respect, council members and folks, but I look at this and I go, is it really worth painting over rust to make people, low-income families that have to pay for medical expenses and auto repairs and God forbid having, like Mr. Berkshire said, putting clothes on kids' backs and buying food? Is it, we got to fine them and fee them more? Is that what we're here for? I don't understand. This is just not the town that I grew up in. What happened? I mean, are we just trying to make it look pretty? Because it's not pretty. You know, we should be using the money that we have for, you know, I see in the news, you got, you know, abandoned houses that don't have anybody living in them, that are just abandoned. And you got, you know, meth addicts making meth labs out of them. And that's a big city problem, and this is a small town, I understand. And I've lived in big cities. But we need to fund the police department to help them to get things through. But what we're doing is we're picking on little people for no reason. And I'm not even really from here. I'd like to ask you guys, you know what, you know, like Mr. Berkshire said, what are we doing? And why are we doing it? Is it just to make it look pretty?
So you don't disagree that we have an ordinance to keep this within reason? Are you saying that you just disagree that we're making it tighter? Or are you saying that we shouldn't have any?
I'm saying that when I grew up, hey, if somebody had a yard that needed mowed, then somebody went and did it. I saw in the Ferris Tribune a little while back that it was, hey, if you got a problem with this thing here, then, you call up this city official and we'll come and have them put a little yellow sticker on the door. Well, I called Christina a couple weeks ago. I went out to a property and I mowed the yard. The next door neighbors were throwing trash in the yard. I cleaned up the trash that was in the yard after I've already dealt with the other issues. We'll leave that alone. That was 9 months ago. I hope we can leave that alone by now. But I look at it and go, if it's not bad enough, we're making things hard as it is. Well, when you're making things worse than what it needs to be and trying to still keep up, I just don't understand the reason why.
It would be nice if more neighbors would help their neighbors like that.
But the city's not helping the situation out any by saying, well, let's just go ahead and give you a fee. Well, the city's not out there. They come out, they spend man hours, they spend the time, they spend the gas to come out and take pictures of something that's there, but they don't know how it got there. Sometimes the people don't know how it got there. You come home from the grocery store and you find whatever it is in your yard. Well, it just so happens somebody took that picture. I have my issues. I took care of the issues that I was supposed to take care of. Understood. We're good. But I look at this on a grander scope. My particular little microcosm isn't so much a big deal, other than just reading the papers and going, man, you know what, if I don't say something about this, because I was always taught that when you see something wrong, you do something about it, try to change it. My question is, why are we doing what we're doing to the citizenry of Logansport when there's so many better things we could be considering our time and our efforts and strengths for? Because really, it is painting over rust. I got to tell you, I've seen what happens when you paint over rust. Serving on ships, going through the Pacific Ocean, hey, that rust is still there. And if you don't dig down and you don't dig deep and you don't fix it, and you just paint over it to make it look pretty, oh yeah, you're going to look great when you pull into Pearl Harbor with all the rivets and all that stuff, providing that you wait at least till the paint dries instead of getting washed off in 3,000 miles. But when people are trying to just get to work and they're breaking their vehicles on potholed roads, they can't afford to pay for gas. When people are paying for Medicare, when people are paying for, and that's none of you guys' fault. The expense on drug costs, thank God I retired from the Navy, because I wouldn't be able to afford it if I had to. I got a kid that's got eczema. She's got to get stuff all the time. She just graduated high school yesterday. But there's no way I'd be able to afford it. Thank God I retired. But there's other people that didn't. And we're paying out the gazoo for this and that and the other, and then being told, well, if you don't go out and mow your grass or whatever, like Mr. Berkshire said, he's right. Just please consider that. I'm not trying to condemn. I'm asking the questions because that's what citizens are supposed to do to their leaders. They're supposed to ask the questions why. That's what I fought for.
That's what I want to see. I hope the paper will help us out.
And I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just saying, if I were to have one quote, I would simply say my quote would be, it really looks
So
like
you're
this
against
town's
it.
painting over rust.
So you're against it.
I'm sorry?
So you're against this.
I am against it,
Okay.
Mr. Bishop.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
No, but we sure do appreciate your input. Thank you.
Roger that.
Wish we'd have some more come talk to us.
Thank you. Are there any more comments, public citizens? All right, we'll call for the vote on ordinance 2013 2013-16.
Charlie Hastings,
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
No.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-16 passes on first reading on a vote of 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Ordinance 2013-17. Where did we leave off? Councilman Hastings?
Can we read another one?
Oh, did you already do two?
I'll read it. Ordinance 2013-17, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, regarding abandoned vehicles. Your Honor, call for a first vote on ordinance 2013-17.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-17 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do. Chris, Did we put in here any, does this mean no abandoned vehicle in your driveway? Or did we put, well, somebody just mentioned in the back earlier that we had an exception, maybe they interpreted from the paper, that we had a one vehicle exception or something. Is there any exception?
No, it has to be properly running, properly tagged, properly insured,
Fully operational. on the
fully
street.
operational, not
So
sitting with
I'm
weeds
working
growing
on a
up around
car and
it.
I pull the engine out and I push it outside, I'm out of violation. I'm in violation, I'm out of code. Is that correct? I believe it.
Does it have everything else? Because how would he know the engine isn't in it?
Well, and
I mean, it's going to be done within reason. I mean, he's not going to just come and tag a vehicle that's sitting in a driveway just because he wants to.
well,
If he sees that it's not properly tagged, if it's got a flat tire, if it's sitting up on a jack, if it's sitting in a yard and weeds are growing around it, yes, it's going to be in violation.
well, I brought up in committee that in my neighborhood, I have a neighbor across the street that had an old car sitting there, and it ran, but it wasn't titled or, I assume it's not insured. But anyway, he never did get tagged, sat there for 2 years. I lived directly across the street from him, and it never bothered me. So, but I also see that when you get a bunch of junk cars around the house, then that's a problem, because then you get the weeds, you get the rodents, it's unsafe, maybe some kids get playing in there or something. So I realize we do have a need to limit it, but I don't want to limit it to the point to where a guy can't work on his car, which I used to do all the time. And I'd have a car that it would sit outside while I'm rebuilding the motor. So, and I'm sure I would have been in violation, but that wasn't a problem back then, as he mentioned. And that's really all I have on this one. Thank you.
I have a question for you. Military member goes on deployment, leaves his car sitting in mom and dad's driveway, brother and sister's driveway, somebody's driveway, sits there while he's gone for 6 months straight. While he's out taking care of what he's got to take care of, do you want him to have to consider having insurance on the car and have it plated while he's gone? Is that going to make a difference? Is George going to come out and check to make sure?
Wouldn't the plates have already been on it?
Would it?
I would have hoped so.
I'm looking for it, Mr. Quigney. We did have the exemption in there for military, and I'm trying to find it so I can,
Just for military?
for anybody serving in the military.
What George is looking for are, number one, complaints that we get. Number two, anything that has trash and weeds growing up around it. He's not driving down looking at every single car in the city to see if it's plated or, I mean, he's not going to go up and see if it has insurance on it. If we tag a vehicle and it doesn't have plates or one of these other violations, then they're going to come to the Board of Works, and that's when we would find out if it was insured.
They're all pages.
They all say fire. They're all page 5. Okay.
By the way, just to let you know, my question isn't only for military members. It's just that's something that's near and dear to my heart. But somebody goes to college, somebody goes to...
There's an exception for military members. A vehicle stored as the property of a member of the Armed Forces of the United States who's on active duty assignment. That's the exception.
How do you distinguish? Or how does the code enforcement officer distinguish?
We will follow up on it. That's what the Board of Works does. The Board of Works evaluates these. If the process moves to the Board of Works does even more homework. I'm very comfortable with code enforcement in that he doesn't go around looking for military vehicles to write up. I don't know of a case where we've ever had even a slightest bit of confusion when it comes to a military vehicle. Once we find out it's a military vehicle, we stop.
Wow, that seems a little discriminatory myself.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. I would ask to please forgive me for my disagreements. I guess we'll agree to disagree. Ferris Tribune can show that that's not entirely true. But the fact remains is it is discriminatory due to the fact that there's no way that you can spend the man hours and the money and the time to just run around looking for people's abandoned vehicles because you don't know what the story is. I mean, do they go to every door and ask, hey, what's going on?
Would you prefer that we remove that?
Excuse me?
Would you prefer that we remove that section?
Which
The
section?
the military exemption? Is that what you're asking?
Mr. Mayor, that was kind of a silly question, really.
Well, I kind of think it is.
It is. I didn't ask it.
But you said it's discriminatory.
I did.
He said, Bob did.
Mr. Quigley said it's discriminatory.
And he agreed to it, yes.
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect,
I have to take some blame.
no, I do not think that, I mean, if you, as the mayor of Logansport, Indiana, choose to negate the military use, that's fine. Am I saying that? No, I'm not saying that at all.
We put that in there for a reason.
But when it's not fair to everybody else.
I think it's very fair, especially that one particular part. I think it's very fair. Do you have anything else?
Okay, what else?
Thank you, Mr. Quigley. Is there any further discussion regarding ordinance 2013-17?
Michael Berkshire, 528 Bay Street. No, I do not want the military exemption removed, but I would like to add that you put an exemption in for any college student who is away from home and is not allowed to have a vehicle on campus during their freshman year. That too would apply. And this college student is going forward to get an education and bring the information back to Logansport, hopefully to share it with us. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Any further discussion regarding ordinance 2013-17? Call for the vote.
Charlie Hastings,
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy. Yes. Jeremy Ashcraft. Yes. Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Joe Buck,
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-17 passes on first reading, a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Ordinance 2013-18. Councilperson Popejoy, please.
Ordinance number 2013-18, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, prohibiting parking of motor vehicles in lawns and green space. Mayor Franklin, I call for a vote on ordinance 2013-18.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-18 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilman Bishop.
Yeah, in the pictures I distributed, you can see picture number 2 and 3. That's the green space going through Riverside Park, and as you can see, since they reworked that area, this was just a ball game going on that day. Nobody at the carousel. And as you can see that they're all parked in that green space, which would be violation of our new ordinance. But the fact of the matter is, there is no place to park in Riverside Park. So I don't know what we're going to do. If we was to enforce this ordinance on this, I don't know where, somebody tell me where they're supposed to park. And that's just a ball game. It wasn't a big one. What if we have a bigger event? I mean, this problem has been created recently when they did the trail through there. I think they made some miscalculations. We're always on parking for senior housing and stuff, but I don't think they figured that in on this particular project. So I just think, once again, I think we have to look kind of in our own backyard here before we consider this ordinance. That I just don't think that, I think we got a problem. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other council members wish to address this?
Yeah, I received a call on this same issue today, and it's on the south side. It's one of the narrower streets, no curbs, no sidewalks, and there is no place to park the car other than the yard or the street. They can't park it in the street, so I think this is a little overboard.
Any further discussion from council? All right, any discussion from members of the public? All right, we'll call for a vote on ordinance 2013-18.
Teresa Felton,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Joe Buck,
No.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings,
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-18 passes on first reading on a vote of 6 in favor and 1 opposed. Ordinance 2013-22. Councilman,
19.
How about 19?
I'm sorry. It's a long agenda. Ordinance 2013-19. Councilman Buck, please.
2013, ordinance 2013-19, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport amending ordinance 2008-09, establishing procedures for handling and disposal of garbage, trash, yard waste, and recyclables in the City of Logansport. Call for a vote on this ordinance 2013-19.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-19 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion among council? Councilman Bishop.
Chris, could you give us highlights on this of what the change has been made to? Just the big ones, please.
Okay.
I think that's had a lot. Well, go ahead.
Under H, hazardous material, we've added a place for electronics. It includes household televisions, stereos, DVDs, CDs, VCR player or recorder, computer, or any electronic items that operate from a circuit board. Under Section 4, notice of violation. When a violation is discovered, the violator must be notified by placing a notice on the front door of the residence by first-class U.S. Postal Service to the owner of record of the property explaining the violation and possible action that may be taken by the City of Logansport. B, 7 days to comply. In addition, the letter must state that the owner of record has 7 days from the date of the letter to comply. If compliance is not met within 7 days, the violator will receive a second letter by certified U.S. mail requesting their appearance at the next Board of Works meeting. C, failure to appear. Failure to appear or failure to appear without good reason for noncompliance at the Board of Works meeting could result in an order by the Board of Works for the City of Logansport to bring the property into compliance with any appropriate fine and fees being charged to the owner. The Board of Works may take action in one or more of the following ways. Number 1, order a complete cleanup of the violation. Number 2, grant an extension to the property owner. Number 3, any cleanup performed by the city will result in a fine and or penalty spelled out in Section 9 of this ordinance. Under Section 9, fines and penalties, I'll read the one sentence that is changed. However, the fine and administration fee will be doubled for each violation in which the city cleans up a property within, it used to be 6, it is now changing to 12-month period of the previous violation. Under Section 10, additional offenses, whoever violates the terms of this ordinance within a 12-month period of their last violation will be considered a repeat offender. Any property owner who becomes a repeat offender of this ordinance could be fined an administrative cost of $100, a minimum fine of $200 up to $5,000, plus a minimum fee of $500 per hour, any disposal costs incurred by the city, and a minimum charge of $200 for use of any city equipment owned or leased by the Board of Works. Provided for herein that the city may take such civil action as provided by law, including but not limited to injunctive release, abatement of the nuisance, or imposition of a lien for expenses. All fines and penalties shall be remitted to the Logansport Clerk Treasurer's Office within 10 days. The cost of cleanup shall be deposited into the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund for the remainder of the funds to be deposited into the general fund. In addition, notification for each additional offense within a 12-month period will only be made by leaving notice attached to the front door of the property and one letter sent by first-class U.S. Postal Service. Section 11, emergency abatement. In a case of any event that may be considered a serious threat of imminent danger to the public health, public safety, and/or well-being of the public as determined by the Community Development Director, he/she may order an emergency abatement of the situation. The abatement will occur to the point that any threat of imminent danger to public health, public safety, or the well-being of the public is eliminated. B, any cost of labor, equipment use, and fees incurred by the city will be assessed to the property owner. C, if it is determined that the property owner could have prevented the situation from occurring, or they were negligent or in a negligent manner caused the emergency to occur, they may be assessed a fine of no less than $100, not to exceed $5,000, plus an administration fee of $100. D, provided for herein, the city may take such civil action as provided by law, including but not limited to injunctive relief, abatement of the nuisance, or imposition of a lien for expenses. All fines and penalties shall be remitted to the Logansport Clerk Treasurer's Office within 10 days. The cost of cleanup shall be deposited into the MVH fund, and the remainder of the funds deposited into the general fund.
Thank you.
Mr. Quigley, do you have anything?
My comments are addressed to the City Council. Since the Mayor of Logansport has asked me in the previous question when I was sitting here about would I like to have the military exemption clause erased, this brings up another good point. If in the City of Logansport you have a young spouse of a military member who is forward deployed, wherever he may be, I'm only curious, since the Mayor of Logansport did bring it up, I am curious to know which one of you guys are going to send that letter saying, hey, you owe this much money to the chain of command, to the senior listed advisor of whatever branch of service that person's in. Or are you just going to send it to the spouse who's got 2 kids to raise, trying to put food on the table, mow the grass, keep the car off the whatever have you? Are you going to be sending that letter to the senior listed advisor themselves, or are you going to put the poor spouse through and have them go, oh God, what's going on here? Since the mayor did bring up if I wanted to have the exemption made, I'd like to know. Because you do have military families in this town. I want to know if you're going to send that letter directly to the chain of command, or are you going to put the poor spouse through it?
Mr. Quigley, I could answer that question.
Yes, sir.
Any invoicing is done through the administrative branch of the city, not the city council. And I don't know of a case, not one case, where we would do something like that. As a matter of fact, I remember a case that you were involved in where the city very graciously offered to work with you. We took a trailer to the residence in question. We left it there. We allowed you to load the equipment, load the garbage that was on the scene, hauled it away for free, and never did we charge you a dime for it. We took care of that, and we would certainly make the exception. Discrepancy is the better part of this ordinance. We know how to handle it. It's those who decide to ignore, stonewall, and not respond, and the neighbors that have to live with it are simply tired of putting up with it. We can handle this. We need a little bit of cooperation from people like you who choose to ignore it.
Mr. Mayor, I was here for 1 week, and I did everything you told me to do. Number 2, I do not appreciate
Thank you,
the
Mr.
personal
Quigley.
attack.
Do you have anything else that you would like to speak to in reference to the ordinance?
I would. But
And regarding the ordinance?
Thank you, City Council members. I've just been told by your mayor for the second time that I have to keep my mouth shut. At least this time he didn't slam his hands on the table.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? Please come forward. Please come forward, Mike. State your name.
Mike Berkshire, 528 Bates Street, Logansport, Indiana. Going into overtime, aren't we?
Very.
Randy, this question's for you, City Council. It says in the ordinance that you will notify by a tag on the door and first-class mail. Does that suffice as proof of service?
It does.
Okay, that's what I want to know, because my last understanding was proof of service required certified letter.
It's up to the ordinance how we want to do that. But it's not required by law for the ordinance to want us to do it by certified mail.
The legislature just changed that this year, didn't they?
Yes.
They went to it.
Okay. Okay, that's a change that I was not
It was
conscious
just
of.
made this year,
Thank you, sir.
this legislature.
Any more discussion on ordinance 2013-19?
I learned that in IAC school.
All right, call for a vote on ordinance 2013-19.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Gary
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-19 passes on first reading on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Ordinance 2013-22. We're a little out of order here, council, but we'll get back on the numbers next month. Councilman Fox, please.
Ordinance 2013-22 for the rezoning of the Andersons property east of 2344 South 400 East. I motion for ordinance 2013-22.
Second.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-22 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? I see some folks here from the Andersons. If you have any questions. Hearing none, we'll call for the vote on ordinance 2013-22.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ordinance 2013-22 passes on first reading on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Ordinance 2013-23. Councilman Ashcraft, please.
Ordinance 2013-23, an ordinance of the Logansport Common Council approving the community development's establishment and enforcement of the basic building registration document. Your Honor, I call for a vote on ordinance 2013-23.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-23 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion regarding ordinance 2013-23? All right, we'll call for a vote on ordinance 2013-23.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-23 passes on first reading on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Ordinance 2013-24. Councilman Liddell, please.
Ordinance 2013-24, an ordinance vacating the alley between lots numbered 15, 16, 17, and 18 in Rachel Gerhardt's addition to the city of Logansport. Also, lots numbered 25, 26, and 27, and 28 in Rachel Gerhardt's addition to the city of Logansport. Your Honor, I call for a vote. Ordinance 2013-24.
Ordinance 2013-24. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ordinance 2013-24 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion regarding 2013-24?
Michael Burkhardt, 540 State Street, Logansport, Indiana. Where is this?
McKinley School.
Answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Your Honor.
Yes.
Actually, Councilman Fox and I went out and took a look at that, and the maps, which I don't have one in my packet here, but the map actually kind of shows that there's an alley there, but there really isn't. It's a paved parking lot of the school now presently. So apparently just some of the paperwork maybe didn't get done years ago, so it's really already vacated. So I don't think this is too tough of a decision here.
I believe we have a representative here, representing McKinley School. If you have any questions, he's here to address. This is basically a formality. It was abandoned years ago. Is there any more questions? Any questions for Mr. Batt? Call for a vote on ordinance 2013-24.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Joe Buck.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-24 passes on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Are there any other board member comments?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the Parks Committee could come together to address maybe the parking problem at Riverside Park. Maybe we could
That'd be a
bring
great
that forward
idea.
so the Parks Department can bring us a
Actually,
corrective.
the Parks Board.
Parks Board could bring us a corrective
They're
action for that. Is that a
I'm
possibility?
chairman of Parks Committee, and there's nothing really that I can do. It's the Parks Board that will need to address that.
I don't know how we.
You can make an official request of them, or
I think
to ask
we
to
need
meet
to do
with them
that.
in a joint meeting
Call
of
it Parks.
Parks Committee and Parks Board. you're certainly entitled to do that.
Okay, next time.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other board member comments? Any miscellaneous business, including any matters not already considered?
I'd like to know what happened to the old 5-minute meetings we used to have.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.